Hello there, people of the internet. I'm out here on the gun range, and I got 3 rounds left of this black powder 308 ammo, and I wanted to make a video where I got an excuse to shoot it downrange. So there's been a few times where people have asked me about shooting black powder through their bolt-action rifles, and normally it comes around with smokeless powder bolt-action rifles, in which case, absolutely. Black powder can run in basically any smokeless powder firearm. If you're running it through a self-loading firearm, then you might have some issues where the black powder fouling gums it up, or potentially the black powder does not cycle the firearm, so you'll essentially have yourself a single shot to where you have to like cycle the thing manually by yourself. But if it's a smokeless powder firearm, then yes, it absolutely can run black powder, and that's because black powder runs at significantly lower pressures than smokeless powder does. That's one of the big things or big reasons why people were able to use black powder during the days where they were making guns out of like wrought iron and things like that. It just burns at incredibly low pressures. Now, the pressures that you're going to witness through your black powder is going to be dictated by a number of factors. In the case of using cartridges, it's going to be dictated by the neck of the cartridge, how steep that neck is. It's going to be dictated by the grain weight of the bullet. But no matter what it is, you're still going to be able to run it through a smokeless powder, because the pressures of black powder through a cartridge like this are still going to be significantly smaller than what you'll be shooting with your smokeless powder rounds. Like, for example, 308, this right here sends a 150 grain bullet at approximately 2,800 or so feet per second, depending on cartridge load, etc., etc. That's just a good generalization of the cartridge. However, that being said, if you loaded it with black powder, you'd probably get more like around, if you had, say, 60 grains of black powder in that bad boy, 1,700 or so feet per second, rough estimations. That's just kind of me guessing. Now, I do have some larger bullets because the pressures from black powder just can't make a whole lot of velocity. So I got 220 grain bullets loaded inside of these 308 rounds. If we can't get velocity with our cartridge, the next thing we can do to increase energy transfer on target is to increase mass. With that increase of mass, since we cannot get that increase of velocity, we do have an increase of energy on target just because it's a bigger bullet smacking into the target. So I have no idea how fast these bullets are going to be going. My bet, 2,600 or so feet per second, approximately, somewhere around there. I have all of these loaded with 57 grains of powder. I think, this one's got 58 grains, whatever. Very, very, very minute difference. But that is a lower velocity than what you would see with smokeless powder, just because the pressures are significantly smaller. They're significantly lower. So if you have yourself a bolt-action rifle of any kind, and it is a smokeless rifle, then yes, you absolutely can run black powder through your smokeless rifle. You just want to make sure that you clean it. But if you are in a situation where you can make your own black powder, and you can do that very easily at home, and then you have a means to be able to shoot your firearms for extremely small amounts of money, as opposed to spending like $1 a round on 308, make black powder 308, not going to be as powerful, as effective, as accurate. You're going to have to clean your gun, etc., etc. But I can make these for like 10 cents a shot. If it is smokeless powder, feel free to go for it. However, if it is an older rifle, like let's say, actually, I got myself a Vetterli, like a 6.5 Carcano Vetterli rifle that can't really run full power 6.5 Carcano ammunition very safely, just because it's not designed for around those pressures. It is a black powder design. Those guns have been around for a long time. God knows what they have seen. And if somebody has ran full power 6.5 Carcano ammo through those, you never know what sort of damage that gun might has taken. So if you have an old school black powder gun like that, or an old school bolt action gun like that was designed around black powder and kind of like forced into the role of using smokeless powder, flying around me, get away from me, dude. I'm not interested in being your dinner. But if you have an old school gun like that was designed around black powder and converted to smokeless powder, and you want to shoot black powder through it just to be safe, that would be the way to go. But inspect it first, because there might potentially be some damage done to that thing. I've seen quite a few of those Vetterli guns that have like fallen apart and destroyed themselves because they had full power smokeless rounds put through them. They're just not designed for that, and they got in particular fail points on those. And for that particular one, it is the locking lug sleeve that normally fails on those. A lot of people will say it is the barrel insert, like just because it's been soldered in. Those are stair-stepped, so those aren't going anywhere, especially because the pressures are trying to push that barrel sleeve out the front of the barrel, and the stair-stepping was done from the rear. Like, those are not going anywhere. It might come loose, and it might kind of start to fall out the back, but that's not going to happen from shooting your loads, because that's pushing pressures in the opposite direction. Now, that being said, I'm sure that it is possible. I won't say anything is impossible, but not like it matters, because you're going to get that thing thoroughly inspected by a competent gunsmith before you even shoot black powder loads through it. But if you have a smokeless powder rifle, yes, you can shoot black powder loads through your smokeless powder rifle just fine. Pressures are significantly less, and if you have yourself a smokeless powder or a black powder rifle, don't run smokeless powder through it because the pressures are more. Like, I actually have another Vedely in 10.4 millimeter. If I tried making a smokeless powder load for that, it would absolutely blow up the gun, especially considering that the bullets for that are like 500 grains, and the Vedely is already a pretty gosh darn soft system. So I have a piece of wood out in that direction. As a matter of fact, the sun's low enough. Maybe I can point you guys out here and not have the camera die from glare. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, well, I'll just go keep you guys right here while y'all watch me shoot at that piece of wood. It's a piece of wood. I'm poking holes inside of it. You're not missing very much. Shoot at that with my black powder 308 rifle. I actually really like the way that the black powder is running through this. The one thing that I am having issues with is my extractor here is having a little bit of trouble with black powder fouling. So I guess that's just something to take note of inside of our Mauser system. But I've been shooting this thing basically all day, and I'm to the point to where the extractor just does not really want to catch these rounds all that effectively, which just means it's time to run some water through this thing and get some of this black powder fouling out of there. Aha! I do still really like this. Alright, I'm gonna put you right there. Oh, that one works just fine! Which is good, because that's my last round. This is my last round of this, guys. And it was a nice one. That was awesome. I really wish I got that on camera. The way that the wind blew the smoke from that, it kind of like tornadoed its way towards that piece of wood. That was really cool. Alright, well, ladies and gentlemen, to answer your question, because I've gotten this a few times, yes, you absolutely can run black powder through a smokeless powder rifle. The pressures are a lot less. You don't got to worry about it. In fact, it's a smart way to go. Your brass doesn't stretch as much if you are somebody who wants to reload your brass over and over and over like I am. I can get a lot of life out of black powder brass as long as you clean it. Don't let it tarnish and disintegrate itself. Besides that, I can make my own black powder, so I can shoot these incredibly cheaply. It's a good way to go. It's smart. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Now, if you're going to be buying commercial grade black powder or commercial black powder, then the amount of money you spend in that black powder is about on par with smokeless powder, so why not just go with the smokeless powder? But if you're going to make your own black powder, then hey, this way is a really good cost-effective way to be able to do this. All right, the sun's setting. I'm getting out of here because I don't want to be out here at night. Thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode.
I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.